Welcome to the CryoCeo podcast. I'm your host, Fernando Vega, and this is Cryocon 2024. Very excited to let you guys know about this one. Actually, we have Brick House Capital here in the house with us. And you know what? One of the things that I love about these guys, they actually were a sponsor for us to make sure that this podcast can come out for you guys and talk to you guys about this stuff, and we really appreciate the support. Dustin, this is Dustin Christensen with Brick House Capital. And Dustin, you and I have known each other for...
It's been a while.
9 years at least?
Yeah, probably pretty close.
Yeah, 9 years. And, you've been in this sector for a while. But I want you to go ahead and introduce yourself to everybody here on the podcast.
Yeah, I'm with Brick House Capital. We're a direct lender. We do a lot of equipment financing in the wellness space and aesthetics and kind of the spa world.
Yep.
There's other industries that we play in, but we've got a concentration and a focus here.
Yep. And I remember when I first started in 2015, we were called Hydrate. And, we decided to go ahead in 2016. We were looking at getting our first cryo chamber. And one of the things that I loved about you, man, is you were just honest. You just said, hey, listen, we've got some programs. We're going to be able to help you out. We got this. Otherwise, I can help you if you don't qualify. I can tell you what you need to do. So then 6 months from now, you can qualify. Right. And you know what? That was huge because, when you're starting a company, this podcast is made for people who are looking to get into the industry, people who are in the industry, or people who don't know what to do next because of the industry, So, we want to be able to talk to them about this stuff. So talk about Brick House. What do you guys do mostly, and...
Well, we do equipment financing arrangements and mostly dollar buyout equipment leases that allow people to get access to capital without kind of the normal bank type requirements.
Yeah.
There's still obviously a credit process. They've got to have a credit score. There needs to be some display of liquidity. But it's not as long of a process as a bank loan. And most banks, other than a bank that'll facilitate an SBA loan for you, that can do a new company. We've got to have a healthy balance of doing new businesses and existing businesses, but we're able to kind of satisfy both of those. And just, basic terms, 3, 4, 5 year fixed term financing.
Yeah. And that's nice about that, 3 to 5 years, because nobody should be financing things for 10 yeers, and
that's the SBA.
The SBA.
Yeah.
10, 15, you shouldn't be doing that. It's just not the right business sense. And, doing 3 to 5 years, that's where they really need to look at if that product that they're bringing on board is going to bring the ROI that you need so you can handle the 3 to 5 year loan. Like all the loans I ever got, I don't have any now, but all the ones that I did get in the past, they were all 18 months. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a hard pill to swallow for 18 months, higher payments, but we worked really hard on promoting our product and to pay off our loans within that 18 months. But the thing is, that's me. There's other people who, they do different things. Being in the cryotherapy industry, what are you seeing right now with financing on cryo machines? Because everybody's wanting to get out of the nitrogen machine and wanting to go electric. And as we all know, electric machines are 6 figures.
Yep.
So, what are you seeing?
Well, whenever you're going after 6 figures, you've got to, ideally you need to have a few years in business. 3, 4, 5 years is ideal. Mm-hmm. And most of the time, if you run a successful wellness practice, that once you get to that 3, 4, 5 year mark, you should have the cash flow to support the new debt.
Yep.
Ideally. If you don't, then maybe you stay in nitrogen a little bit longer than you want to, or you save up cash and kind of bridge that gap, maybe sell the nitrogen chamber and try to upgrade. But if you've got some cash flow by the time you get to those later years, more of an advanced, newer business, right? Yeah. Past that 2, 3 year point, then you can get access to 100,000.
Okay. Yeah. And then, we're seeing products out there from obviously our U.S. based manufacturers. And now we're seeing a lot of overseas manufacturers. Is there any difference on financing those that you run into?
Well, as long as they've, as far as financing a machine that originates overseas or domestically, well, we financed machines for a long time from Poland and from everywhere else, but over in Europe. but as long as there's a U.S. based distributor,
Yep.
then we can do that. And there's certain situations where we have paid foreign vendors for very well established U.S. companies with a company that we know is solid overseas.
Okay.
You just got to be kind of careful. You need to know those folks.
Yeah. And, one of the other things that I truly enjoyed and what I hear all the time is your process is smooth. I mean, you're not like the bank where they look at you as a number. You actually have that whole, like family touch kind of a feel when you talk to people, and, that's one of the things I always hear positive things about you guys.
Yeah, that's nice. We try. We're we're kind of a boutique finance company.
Yeah.
So we're organized like a law firm, kind of a larger law firm. We're really a small national boutique finance company. So we have conversations with people, and then we try to, at the front end of the deal, understand what the position is and what we're able to do so that we don't, waste somebody's time, or we can identify any hurdles or benchmarks they need to reach before we can, get them approved. So yeah, it allows we spend a little bit more time like that. And the process is, sometimes there are questions once a deal's submitted, there's some things that don't line up on the application. So there's some follow-up, but not nearly what you would experience with the SBA or a bank.
Can you give us a quick little scenario of like something like, like some where they need to hit some different benchmarks to be able to get the financing? Because the whole goal is, I want to make sure people understand that don't be afraid to try and get financing. If you get rejected, it's okay, because you're going to work with them. You're going to give them the guidance. Can you give us some kind of like ideas of what, you've seen that you've helped, and then you see them come back and you were able to provide financing?
No, we've run into that a bit. One important thing is it doesn't hurt somebody to apply. Like we literally do just a view only of the score and the trades on that credit. So we're not.
It's not a hard pull.
It's not a hard pull.
Okay.
Some people say it's a soft pull. But we do like a view only, kind of like a utility company would do, as if you're moving in to set up utilities in an apartment or something. So it's really just a snapshot of that. And so you can apply and it doesn't hurt, But yeah, there's some scenarios where the common scenario that we get is somebody that is really excited and jazzed up to start a wellness business, and they're undercapitalized. Yeah. So
that was me, 2015.
Well, everybody that's got a dream has been there at some point, right? Yeah. So really just finding that capital, because we have to show reserves.
Yeah.
Most new business programs out there, and there's really only, we have a direct one, and then we have a couple of private funds set up that allow us to do startups. And, what everybody's looking for is good personal reserves that individual starting the company can continue to manage their personal debts, their personal liability, along with all the new debts that all the new commitments they have to start a company. Okay. So they've got a lease payment for the building that they're moving into. They've got overhead. They have consumables, right, for the new business. Plus they've got all their personal stuff. So the reserves that they show in their bank account have to be able to support both of those, assuming no revenue for say 6 months.
Right.
Because there's a ramp up period. Mm-hmm. You don't just start making $15,000, $25,000 a month.
Nope.
You have to sign up. You need to sell packages. You have to get new members, that sign up on a reoccurring revenue
and get marketing
basis.
Going and all that stuff.
You got marketing costs. So you've got to have a lot of money in the bank. So we've run across situations where people are undercapitalized, and we've said, look, you don't have the capitalization that you need to start this company. Mm-hmm. You've got to find an investor. You need to have some other, maybe you tap into some home equity. So a lot of people have a lot of equity in their homes now. Maybe you don't take all of that out. You take a little bit, let that season and stay in the bank account for a while to get to those standards that we have to meet to get them approved. Mm-hmm. And then also cut, a lot of them have, it's kind of a champagne diet on a beer budget, right? You can't go and spend $350,000 out of the gate. And as well as anybody, you can start with a handful of services. Yep. That aren't very expensive, and then graduate to that next level.
Yeah, when I started my practice back in 2015, it was cashing out our 401k of $14,000 and borrowing $10,000 from one of our family friends, and that's how we did it. And we just started off with just doing IVs and buying all the supplies and getting that build out so we can ramp up that revenue, so we could show all the different things, and then. What else? And then when it came time to buy our first device, that's when we were, worked with Brickhouse, and you guys were so great about it because you're like, hey, why don't you go ahead and take a look at the following, try this and see this, and then come see me in 60, 90 days. It wasn't like come see me in a year. It was like 60 days. So I'm like, oh, okay, well, yeah, let's try that out. And it worked. And next, financing was happening, and I got a lot of friends who use you guys, and it's been great. You and Jack are always easy to get a hold of.
We're the one. We have a bigger team. It's just we're the ones out like talking and
everybody.
Exactly.
At the events,
right?
So but that's one of the nice things about it. And then what advice do you give people out there, really quick? Just they're walking into Cryocon. They're looking to get into reinvent themselves. They're very health enthusiasts. They want to get into the industry, and they want to be able to do it. What would you recommend for them? What advice?
Well,
would
just
you
don't
give them?
overextend yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of, I suppose you would expect me to say that, but we see that a lot. And then it just creates a different stress. There's already tons of stresses starting a new company, right? Yeah. The last thing you need to do is not be able to make your payments or have enough money to where you're stressed at home and at work.
Right.
So that just don't overextend yourself. Get a nice, complementary group of pieces of devices to start, kind of your favorites, and then look at the cryobuilt chambers as the next step potentially.
Right.
Or, starting with just a lower cost device to get going.
And you guys do finance used equipment?
Yeah, we can. We want it from a dealer typically. Okay. If we've worked with a client for many years and they're buying a private party, piece of equipment, we can help with that. It's just more involved because you have to make sure that equipment's owned free and clear. Yeah. Otherwise, you don't have title to it or a lien on it. So, and that can be hard because they have to prove they own it, and some people don't have the books for it or whatever. But yeah, if it's through a dealer, no problem.
And then a lot of people are looking to go mobile these days, so you've been seeing an uptick on that too, so I remember we were looking at one person who wanted to do an aesthetic sprinter, and it was just too high of an amount, and you came back and said, hey, what if you gave them this advice and they did it, like buy the vans separately.
Yeah, Ford Motor Credit.
Yeah, Ford Motor Credit, see what they do, see what they give you. And they're like, really? And they went and they got, at that time, it was still like 4.9% financing for 7 years. Mm-hmm. Payments were affordable. And then they went
and putting the equipment inside of it.
And putting the equipment inside it. And so they can go ahead and do mobile aesthetics. I mean, that was huge.
Yeah, car dealers have a unique advantage over most commercial finance companies because they can take that Sprinter van back and put it right back on their lot and sell it. And and so they can offer some really good financing programs to consumers. Mm-hmm. So they finance that just with their own personal credit, not under their business. Yeah. So if you go into Ford Motor Credit, or if you buy a Mercedes Sprinter, if you go into either of those and say, I want to finance this for my business, it's a whole different kind of process. It's more like a regular bank loan process. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you really just finance those as a consumer, and then you convert it
to your
later.
Business.
Yeah. And we can finance stuff that goes in the back of that, as long as you've got the liquidity and all that stuff. Yeah, we can put the equipment in the back of it. That's
awesome. And Dustin, how can somebody get a hold of you?
I mean, I would just go to brickhousecapital.com. I mean, we that's the easiest way. Yeah. And then our really contact information's there. Website's simple. The application is straightforward, and then they can just dial the number on there too, and just ask for me. And
you are good at returning emails and and phone calls right away. So I remember one time I thought I was sending you a text message. It was your office phone.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, he doesn't have a text messenger, does he?
Well, what's funny is we get, and when you're, when you're in this business, you get texts, you get emails, you get calls to the office, and you got website inquiries. So all of that I try to funnel. To where I've got a couple mediums of communication. Right. Otherwise, it's like I'm texting and I'm typing. And,
exactly.
But yeah, a good brickhousecapital.com, because there's frequently asked questions on there. There's all kinds of stuff. Credit requirements are stated.
How long has Brickhouse been around?
2003.
There you go.
Yeah.
So we're talking 21 years.
Yeah.
So that's a long time. That's great. Well, I appreciate Dustin for coming on here. I really do. Thank you for sponsoring the CryoCeo podcast. We really appreciate that too. And we're here at Cryocon 2024. One of the things that we want to make sure that you understand when you come to Cryocon, you got people like Dustin, from Brickhouse and all these other vendors that are out there to give you education, to give you informed information so you can make informed decisions. So, we really appreciate this, Dustin. Thank you so much, man. All right. And,
appreciate it.
We'll talk soon. So, again, brickhousecapital.com to get a hold of Dustin or Jack, and you'll see us there. You'll see them there. And any questions you have, just reach out to us. You guys do have an Instagram page.
Yeah, there's some social media. I don't have much to do with that, but we do post stuff. I actually should send some stuff back to the office about this event, but Instagram and Facebook.
Instagram and Facebook and the website. All right. Well, thank you for joining us. I'm Fernando Vega. I would like to say thank you to our sponsor, Dustin, over at Brickhouse Capital, for putting this podcast here together for CryoCon 2024, and we will see you next year.